Welcome to Duality Gamecast, the show for people who love to play games. And now your hosts, Matt and William.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Duality Gamecast Zappcon edition. Woohoo! We went to Zappcon this weekend, had a lot of fun, met a lot of people. But before we get into anything, we had a little contest going on where people can enter to win a copy of Pandemic Legacy.
Number one on Board Game Geek.
So people wrote in their names. We have a little box here full of stuff.
It's been sealed in a vault for the last 2 days.
See, you hear that seal break right there?
And the winner is Jason Brown. Congratulations, Jason. You'll be getting an email shortly. And this was all to promote our new playtest group, which you'll be hearing more about in the near future. So,
I'm going to put this to the side so we don't hurt his copy of Pandemic Legacy with all of our flailing about.
we only dropped it a couple times at the convention.
Oh, well, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So, as we were saying, we went to Zappcon.
Mm-hmm.
It's our first Zappcon we've been to, and the first con we've ever had a booth, a table at.
Yep.
How do you think your experience was? How was it at Zappcon for you?
It was cool. I have been to one really huge convention, Gen Con,
Mm-hmm.
we went to. And other than that, I've been to some kind of small conventions. And so my expectations, to be honest, were maybe a little low. And it was a lot bigger and more impressive than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
The footprint of it, the number of exhibitors, and the amount of organized play that was going on, and all the, what do you call them? Not breakouts, but panels.
Okay.
You know, all that kind of stuff that they did was way more than I've seen at a local con, like, ever.
I agree.
The exhibitor hall area was, I don't know, what would you say? I mean, compared to Gen Con, still, maybe like a sixth of the exhibit hall at Gen Con.
Yeah.
But compared to, like, I've been to comic book conventions in town. We live in Fresno, California, if you don't know. I've been to some kind of one-off gaming conventions, an anime convention, a Star Trek convention, and those are teeny, tiny, casual affairs compared to this. This was pretty well organized.
Yep.
A lot of exhibitors, a lot of neat stuff on show. Our table was kind of at one end of the exhibit hall, and we were facing a huge video game
like a retro
setup.
video game.
I think it's a company called Blue Shell.
Yep.
And they had a bunch of kind of LAN gaming going on behind their sales. But we were also right in front of the organized gaming tables.
Yep.
And there were people there all day.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I didn't think that there was going to be as much going on as there was. Maybe that was low Fresno self-esteem or something like that. But it seemed like, they opened the doors up early for people to come in and play games. There was people playing games after the main convention closed. There was so many things going on upstairs all the time. Yeah, I was surprised too, because there was so much happening and so many things to do that it didn't feel like some of the other little local stuff that I've been to and seen, that you kind of show up, you're like, oh, there's like 3 people here and one of them's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And they're like, want you to sign up for their newsletter or something. This was a convention, and I'm wondering, because this is like the 3rd year of it in its current incarnation, I think.
Yeah.
It's been going on for a while.
Kind of the bigger, better version.
So I'm wondering how much they're growing and stuff. I want to do a little bit more research now, because now I'm kind of interested in what's happening next year. For our purposes, do you think our stuff is next year we're going to get another booth, or do you think we're going to be out mingling with the people more?
Well, I honestly feel like we would benefit more from doing videos at the convention. interviewing. I met a lot of neat vendors there.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And
of
I
cool
think there
people.
would be a lot of opportunity to film videos to bring to the people. So that's where I feel like we're going. So just give you a little rundown. You know, you pay for a table. Um, they were pretty, whatever. They didn't get involved in what you did at your table, but they were very nice. So we brought some product to sell. Not it just our stuff we put together to try to compensate for the cost of being there and the cost of the contest we ran, and just generally gather some revenue for the channel. And that didn't hit.
It didn't pan out for us.
Yeah,
But
that didn't really hit. But I do want to talk about some of the experiences of selling there. But it was neat. We did have some cool conversations with some people about the channel, about the gaming, about fandom. Some cool stuff went on. So I think we could do that part without a table next time.
I agree. Yeah.
So we were selling some geek stuff. We tried to hit all the stuff that we thought would be interesting to people that would go to Zappcon, right? So we had some Pokemon stuff. We had some Cthulhu stuff, Firefly stuff,
Game of Thrones,
Doctor Who,
Harry Potter stuff.
Harry Potter. And that was neat because, what people would come up and touch or ooh was like this clue into their fandom, which was cool. We had some Cthulhu 2016 bumper stickers, which, man, in hindsight, I think we realized we could have just done a Cthulhu 2016 booth and made some money. It's just the right time and the right place with the election about to come up. And Cthulhu really kind of just getting bigger all the time. I think people are becoming more aware of the Lovecraft universe all the time. It was just the right thing. And we only had a few stickers of those, and they sold. They were the thing that sold. So we could have done that. And too bad we have to wait 4 years to do that again. If we want to hit that election pulse. But it was neat. The one that cracks me up, though, is we had a couple of Firefly stickers. And one of them was the classic, wash, I'm a leaf on the wind quote. And I don't know how many people physically touch the sticker on the table and go, oh, or I'm a leaf on the wind. But then they didn't buy it. Which I thought was really funny. It's like it evoked this emotion in them, but it's a kind of a sad emotion. So that doesn't translate into purchasing something.
Oh, this makes me sad. Let me buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go with a more upbeat thing. I was surprised, with just the huge variety of, because we were sitting right next to a Star Trek booth.
We were Star Trek fans from Fresno, USS Sir Royan.
That was a good experience for me because like I said, I haven't gone to a lot of con stuff. And there's that whole cliche Star Trek versus Star Wars thing going on and people not getting along. And it was so cool seeing how much more of a community it really was than what the cliche was.
They were totally easygoing.
Yeah, and there was people that were there that were halfway through would change into another costume and go to another sci-fi booth. There's people who were involved with the Star Wars stuff that were doing the Star Wars. There's people who like sci-fi.
Yeah.
People weren't trying to pin themselves in different things. It was really cool to see compared to what kind of like the portrayal is in, I think, pop culture of how those people interact with each other.
Yeah, it was like they were in the Star Trek fan club, not just because their love of Star Trek, but they were like a community. They were like a group of friends. So they could go, and like at least one of them was also a member of the 501st, the Star Wars, the big Star Wars fan group, who were there and awesome. And then they also had members of, I'm going to mess it up again, Honor. Do you remember the name of it?
I don't remember what the name of it is. No,
series of books whose main character's name is Honor something, and I felt bad all weekend because I had never heard of it, and they had this huge booth. Like they really did a good job with their booth and their costumes, and there was crossover between them and the Star Trek people. And you talked to people, and then what they called it, like Master and Commander in Space kind of thing. And so that looked really interesting. I was kind of like, maybe I should read the first book of that. It looked kind of neat, and now I don't remember the name. But anyway, yes, they were awesome and cool, and they weren't the uptight kind of fans that is the stereotype.
And I think that's what I saw with a lot of things, that everyone was, there was, Zappcon is very much like a geek culture type thing, but it's gone beyond just comic books, board games, there's video games, it seemed like everyone there. It didn't seem like there was any kind of like cliques, for lack of a better term. So it just seemed like people were coming in from all sorts of different loves and joining together, and it was a big group of enjoying all geek culture and just all sorts of bleeding over of different things people liked, and I really enjoyed that. It's something that I didn't know what to expect because I believe it started as a comic book convention, and I was thinking that there was going to be that with a little bit of gaming on the side. I hadn't been there before. I didn't go last year, so I was just very impressed with how the whole con went.
Yeah, me too. There, you had your niches, I suppose. The gaming area, the cosplayers.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't really see a ton of, now that I think about it, was comic book areas. Like there were a couple Heroes Comics, which was when our awesome local comic book shop was there. There was another one called Villains, which I thought was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one guy that I think was from out of town that had a big setup with a bunch of old comics.
Yeah.
But I didn't really just in general see a ton of. It didn't feel like a comic book convention.
Right. It felt like a convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was there. But there was a lot of overlap, like you were saying. Like, we had cosplayers come up to our table and, they were interested in Pandemic Legacy or Pokemon. And, there were, I think, different levels of cosplay. There was awesome cosplay there, by the way.
Yes.
But I felt like there were different levels. Like, there were people that were kind of, I don't know if you want to call them hardcore or not professional is probably not the right word, but people there who had awesome costumes who were there to be in costume, I felt like.
Right. They were basically walking circuits on the floor. Their costumes, obviously, they spent a lot of time on.
Yeah.
What you think of as a cosplayer when you think of a cosplayer.
But then there were also people there also in awesome costumes who were there to be at the con. Like they were looking at all the booths. I saw cosplayers playing games in the gaming area, playing video games, which is a neat sight to see someone in a crazy costume playing a board game or something. And so there was a lot of overlap, which was really neat. We had a lot of cool discussions, I think, because we are trying to start a playtest group. We're working on games, and I think we'd probably be open to looking at other people's games. So it was neat to have those discussions with people who are into games.
Yes.
And in some cases, talk to people who weren't too knowledgeable about games, but were curious about our big banner or the giant Pandemic box or what have you.
Yeah.
And we got to have some neat dialogues there. So we met a lot of cool people. Like, working at a table at a con is interesting. I mean, it has its downtimes.
For sure, yes.
For sure. But it also has some really neat interactions with people, which I really enjoyed.
Well, I think that was the advantage also of where we were at, because we were kind of actually in a more low traffic area. So the booth to the right of us, for some reason, didn't even show up.
Yeah, they never showed.
The booth to the left of us was the Star Trek.
The cool Star Trek people.
So they were just getting signups for their local group, and they weren't selling anything. We really weren't we weren't selling things. We just had stuff there to like, oh, you want to buy a sticker for a couple bucks? All right, cool, thanks. That will help, offset the cost of the booth. Yeah. And so our area was very much like a discussion area where people would hang out and talk about fandom of different things. And I think that was cool because it wasn't like, hey, move along, I need to sell something to somebody else. We were talking about stuff. We met cool people. I think we learned a little bit about some other games and some other way people handle stuff. I think it was a great learning experience. And but on the flip side of it, I definitely want to not have a booth next year so that I can spend more time going to all the other booths and looking at stuff.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to do some neat interviews and share that with the channel. Because, for instance, there were these guys, and they were way in the back, opposite us, like almost diagonally, completely opposite of us. Had a big, pretty booth for their Kickstarter game, which is on Kickstarter right now, which I think we're going to try to get a video out in the next few days. I think it's called Danger. And they're from Georgia. And these guys are literally, got their own game going on Kickstarter, not a big company. And they're hitting all these cons trying to promote their Kickstarter. And they're bringing these sample of the games that are playable samples of the game that they're just handing out for free and just talking to people. And it's like, man, we could totally have done a good interview with them.
Yep.
There was the masking tape art guys.
That stuff was cool.
That was crazy cool.
So they make all this art out of just basically masking tape and some wire for structure. And then some of the stuff they actually dip in like an epoxy to make it completely handleable so you can play with it and do stuff with it. But there was like a Star Destroyer that was like 4.5 feet long. Yeah, they had done all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, they were really awesome. They had a huge display. Like they had basically a double wide booth display of just all their stuff, and then I think they were like on the opposite side of it, sharing a booth area, I think, with some other guys, or I guess they were selling. So they really went all out. That was neat. There was a ton of cool art and fan art and crafty stuff there.
Yep.
Some friends of ours were there selling their cool like knit dolls and epoxy art stuff, and a lot of 2D artists selling their stuff there. Really neat. There was a novelist there who had someone in cosplay as one of the characters from his novel working the booth. There was a lot of neat stuff there. We would take turns kind of walking through.
Yep.
And I still, never felt like I saw everything in detail. I think I cruised all the booths to some degree, but it was big enough and neat enough that I kind of felt like I didn't quite hit it the way I would want to. So yeah, next year definitely, I think, just touring around talking to people.
Right, and what I was impressed with is there was actually enough going on at that convention that they actually had kind of blocks off. Like I guess technically we were in Artist Alley or whatever it is they called it, right? Which is the tables instead of the big booths. But even within that, there was a section for the actual like pen and paper, like physical media artists.
Yeah.
There was sections for people selling more of like props and that type of stuff. There was enough people there, and there was enough space that they actually still had like little zones for each type of thing, which was neat because I was expecting them to be like an artist, and then next to them like someone selling comic books. And no, that they position it so that you can kind of find an area and hang out and do the stuff you like, and then go explore another little area.
Yeah.
It was neat.
It was very cool. So overall, a big win, I'd say.
Yes, I think that was a very big win, and I'm excited to go next year as just an actual con goer.
Yeah. / wannabe journalist.
Wannabe. All right, I think that's our quick overview of Zappcon. We'll be contacting you regarding your game that you just won.
Congratulations again, Jason Brown.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks, guys.